Sharice Mongello, and I'm going to be talking about how to break down a script for production from a script supervisor, but I believe it helps a lot with the assistant directors, and I'll be talking about production and who everybody is in the crew as well, and you know, a few other things about production and script supervising and all that other great stuff. Okay, so first of all, you have a script. And the rule of the script is you break it into 8/8 of a page. So this script here, you might have, you know, Joy and Bill, right? And they have dialogue. And then, like, let's say this is scene 12. Okay? And so Joy, Bill, then Joy has some dialogue. And then this is, when it goes across the page, it's some action and stuff like that. And that's a full page. So it's 8/8 of a page, right? But then we get to the next page. And actually on the next page, it maybe Bill has some dialogue. But it only goes to not even half the page. Let's say this would be about maybe 3/8 of a page. So you have 3/8 of a page. So you have one full page and then you have 3/8 of a page. And this is important. Well, I mean, I'll show you why it's important later, but this is basically how we break it in industry standards. The pages are broken up into 8/8 of a page. And sometimes the scripts, because what will happen is while they're revising the script, now let me tell you, in filmmaking, you send out revisions, and I've even had people revise scripts in the middle of filming. So, and that's fine, it's standard, and sometimes they don't. Sometimes it's a locked script and it just stays the same. But a lot of the time it's a locked script, and when they revise it, the new pages of the script might not be a full page. So that's why you end up with these scripts that don't have full pages. But regardless, you have to know how long the scene is. And I'll be talking about why you need to know that. But so this scene, let's say scene 12, and you have these two pages, but then you go to the next page and let's say it's Joy speaking. A little more action. Maybe Bill says the last line. And then it goes to scene. So it goes to scene 13. And when it does that, you want to basically, Bill's dialogue, and then it's a whole nother scene. So it's Roy and Phil, let's say. Phil. And anyways, the point of this is it could be about 2/8 of a page. So when you're adding up the pages, you have scene 12 would be 1 and 5/8 of a page. So one of the things you need to know in filmmaking is math. If you don't understand math, it makes it really difficult. I mean, you need to know for a lot of reasons, for camera, for script supervising, for assistant directors. A lot of people need to know math. I guess as an actor you don't need to know it, but it helps to know. One of the things that my teacher, my mentor, Jim Kelly Durgan, he had been in the industry for 50 years. He had taught script supervising for over 40 years, and he has taught some of the biggest script supervisors in Hollywood today. And he passed away, gosh, a long time ago. So it's one of the reasons why I got into teaching this, was because I saw a huge hole happening in the industry by people not knowing this knowledge. But again, he's taught other departments, even actors, how when you know this stuff, it's going to make your work on set that much better because you're going to understand stuff. So no, you don't need to know math and stuff if you're an actor, but if you do understand how a set runs and everything that's happening, I can guarantee you will get more work. You'll be able to work with the crew better, and you will be able to just feel more comfortable on a set and not be trying to leave all the time. You'd be surprised on how many sets, like, these people work so hard to get on a set, and then they're like, oh, I gotta go to dinner, or I gotta do this, or I have that and this. And even if you are working for free or very little pay, to be trying to run off on set and kind of putting that stress on the director and the crew to move faster. Yes, they should always be moving as fast as they can, but to do that and to make things and everybody's life more difficult, you're not going to get hired as much as if you make it easier for people. Then they want to work with you more. Then you're seen more. I mean, you know, it's such a great thing. You're not only seen on TV more, but actually a friend of mine who's a famous actor, I'm not going to say who it is, but he said he was actually seen on this little tiny bit part, and I can't remember the TV show, but a casting director was watching. So then when he walked into the room, they knew him already. You know, so the more you work on set, the more you get to work on set. So, and the more you understand a set, the more you want to be there, and the more you want to be there, the more you're going to work. So, that's why I'm describing all this. So basically, when you have a script, you're breaking down how many pages are in each scene. So like, let's say scene 13 goes from here, and maybe it has a little more down here. You know, this is the next page, and it has about maybe 1/8 of a page left. Bill talks. I want to say that's more action and stuff. So Bill talks, and then it goes to the next, you know, scene 14. And all that stuff. So anyway, so this would be, let's say we said this is 2/8, and it might not go to the end of the script, you know, you never know, but I mean the end of the page, but in this case it does. So it would be 6/8 left and 1/8, so it's 7/8. So scene number 12 is 1 5/8, and scene number 13 is 7/8 of a page. And this all plays into, now the AD may have different script numbers, but for you as a script supervisor, you want to have the scene numbers that your own, I'm sorry, the page count. You want to have the right page count. So they don't have different scene numbers. They may have a different page count than you have, and you want to have your page count because you're going to let them know how many pages are being covered throughout the script, and it's all got to add up at the end of the day. So if you start using the AD's page count, and I love ADs and all that stuff, and each one is different, but sometimes they want to look like they're shooting more than they are. So you got to go based on yours for your notes, so that when the whole script is finished, you know you've finished all these pages. So and not every AD is the same. Obviously, they do want to make sure that the whole film is shot, and they do a lot of the scheduling and everything like that. I mean, the production coordinator and manager will do the scheduling originally, and then the AD, as we move forward and we miss things or all of that, they have to reschedule stuff. So, and then it depends on the budget of the film and who's working on what. So sometimes you don't have really a production coordinator that knows what they're doing, or manager or whatever, and they are not the same. So I am making that they are separate, but you know, depending on the budget and depending on how people work, different people do different jobs on the set, and then some people know what they're doing and some people don't, and some people have to fill in. And yes, there still are people that hire their sons and daughters that may not understand things, so then other people have to come in and fill in those spots. And nothing against that, but it, you know, people learn how to fill in spots even though they're not allowed to in the union. It just happens. So sometimes I wonder how films get made because we're all kind of doing our own thing sometimes, but not. This is why I'm talking about how you break it down so that it is more organized, and the more people that understand this stuff can understand how a film works. So back to what we're doing. So we know that those are the page counts, and that's how you do the page counts. And then there's also a thing of script timing. So actually my mentor Jim Kelly Durgan mentioned that it's, you know, the standard they say is each page is supposed to be a minute of filming. Now he explained that, you know, when TV came out and they had TV shows, what happened in the industry was we had, this is the way it used to work. People would get mentored into it, and that's how they learned about filmmaking. And they didn't per se learn about it at school because there wasn't real filmmakers that were teaching at the schools, because you would make so much more money doing films, and if you knew how to do it, you would just keep doing it. And they didn't have the time to stop and slow down and actually become a teacher. So what happened was when TV came out, they had to do, they needed a need for way more crew than what they actually had available. So, and what they would do is they would ask the writers to write the scripts so that they were a page per minute. But if you look at a feature film, you know, you could have all this action that even though it takes 2 pages to explain it, it happens in 30 seconds. You never know, you know, so it's and then the scheduling, you don't know what it's going to take to schedule, because when you schedule something that's action or a love scene or whatever, those are all different timings. They may take longer, it may be shorter. Nowadays action, I mean, I've been on movie sets where they're doing, you know, a big huge stunt scenes, and it's like 1/8 of a page. It's written as like a little tiny bit of a page, and it takes all day or 2 days to shoot just that one little portion of it. So, and it may be a minute, it may not be a minute in the film. It probably sometimes is not, but sometimes it is, where they're setting up like this huge shot where they come in from the crane and then it comes down and then they walk through and everybody gets shot, and they only have a certain amount of you know, it's called squibs, but like these things, and I might have that wrong, but they're squibs where they shoot and then the blood splats, and they only have a certain amount of those because they're expensive. So anyways, filmmaking's a lot of fun. You can see that I love it, and there's a lot of stuff, a lot of pieces, but I'm trying to break it down and make it simple for everybody. So the next thing, so I talked about timing, I talked about script breakdown. So as you're going through a script, you want to, so you're going to look at the scenes, and you have, like, let's say scene 1, scene 2, scene 3, scene 4, and let's say they skip 5, and then you have scene 6, 7, 8, 9, let's say 9, apple, 10, and that gets omitted. You want to put a little square if it gets omitted. And again, the thing is that once you lock a script, you don't want to change the scene numbers, page numbers, that doesn't matter. Of the scene, that's fine. But you don't want to change the scene numbers, because what can happen is a scene can get omitted. Like, let's say this was already omitted before they locked the script, scene 5, but scene 10 gets omitted. The crew already has, you know, all the scripts, and what happens is everybody gets the script and they break it down for themselves. This is a great way to break it down, even if you are in wardrobe or makeup or anything like that, but they break it down for themselves. And what happens is if scene 10 changes its actual location, so art department, the people that are behind the scenes, or even lighting, and they're going based off of one scene, and another scene 10, and there's 2 different scene 10s, even the actors will get confused, like everybody, maybe even the director, which one are we doing, that kind of thing. That can't happen. So you're going to actually omit that scene, and if they want to write another scene, maybe it is 10 Apple, but that's a completely different scene, a completely different location, completely different dialogue, but everybody's on the same page. 10 doesn't exist, but they have 10 Apple now because they re-added it back in a different location and everything. Now, if they just change the dialogue or something like that, but not where it is in the script or any of that, you could put 10 back in there, just a little bit of the dialogue. But it's still the same feel and meaning of that scene, then that's fine. But if it's a completely different scene, it's 10 Apple. And, or like you have 9 and then 9 Apple, it's got to go in between 8 and 10 Apple or whatever. So that is how the script writing program does it. Final Draft is the industry standard, but there are some new ones out there. But the reason why they do that is because once the script is locked and the crew has it, you do not want to add confusion by changing locations where something is, and scenes and characters in it and all that other stuff. That's a completely different scene. So you just want to make sure that everybody's on the same page and everything, and knows what's going on. It definitely, the films that do the best are the ones where I feel like the AD, the assistant directors, communicate to everybody what's happening. So many times you change what scenes you're shooting, what shots you're supposed to get within those scenes. A shot is basically like right now I'm in a certain shot, but if they were to move closer, like right here, or just to my writing and stuff, that would actually be a completely different shot. And anyways, we're not getting into that right this second, but so the shots within the scene may vary too. They might have a plan for the day, but maybe they can't get every shot that they want. Now for a second, I want to take a break and show you, well, not a break, I want to show you who's who on a crew, just so you kind of get an idea, and this kind of helps with just understanding a set. And if you've never been on it, it can be I think at times a little overwhelming. You start to figure it out though, but this is basically it. So you obviously you have your producers. You have your director. My spelling isn't great. You have your directors, or your director, you only get one of those, and then you can have more than one writer as well. And sometimes these people are all the same. So your director could be your writer and your producer on a really low budget piece, and then sometimes they can kind of argue with each other about different things. The producers, they're usually the money people, but those are the executive producers. The other ones are the ones that are organizing everything and kind of managing the money. So that's why there can be some conflict here. And then the writer obviously wants the script to be shot the way they envision it, so that can be some conflict there as well. They don't always argue with each other, so I shouldn't put that out there. But it can happen. And then it can slow down production, which makes it hard on the producer because they're trying to save money. So, and once you're on a set, everything, time really becomes money there. So, then you have your assistant directors, which is called the AD, assistant director, and you have your first assistant, your second assistants, you can have more than one of these, and second assistant, ADs. And then you have your PAs. So the PAs are your production assistants, and they can also, you can also have your producer's assistant. Writers, I don't know if they get assistants. I've never written a script at a high level situation. I mean, I've written my own scripts to shoot, but then you have your director's assistant, so your DAs on set even. But you have your script supervisor over here. And they are, you know, right there with the assistant director, and then you have your DPs, which is director of photography. So, and then you have your camera crew, which is your camera operator, and your camera operator, and sometimes the DP, the director of photography, is also the camera operator. And I've seen that it happens in low budget to save money, but in big budget, a lot of directors of photography they come from a camera operator, and they feel like they're the best. But the thing is that again, like, if this department slows down, you know, and this person's doing all the work, and you think it's saving money, it can actually be costly for some situations. You know, I've seen it when these people are separate, and you have a different camera operator than your DP, and you have to have a different camera operator if you have more than one camera. They can't operate all 3 cameras, or 2 cameras. So, anyways, but when they're working to set up the lights and do all this other stuff. I mean, not really, they have people to do that, but and then they're operating the camera. They really don't have any downtime, and they don't really get a kind of look at the shot and look back and see what's really happening. So anyways, but that's up to them. It's not my department. Then you have your first assistant camera, AC, and then you have your second AC, and then you had your loader. So the loader obviously is when you have film. This has actually been removed mostly because we don't shoot on film anymore. We shoot digital. You have your first AC, which pulls the focus of the film. And that means it's a pretty important job because they have to keep your film in focus. I was on a set where we were going to go to another country, and the director was attracted to this young lady, and the director of photography had his first assistant that could pull the focus and keep it in focus. The director wanted the young lady to be the first assistant because he didn't think it was a big deal. Just like talking to the director of photographer, and I was like, wait, do you want this? And he's like, no, am I the only one who gets this? And I was like, well, this is kind of an important job that you don't want to go overseas and not have it. So anyways, that was a whole funny situation. That film kind of fell through, which interestingly enough, I saw a lot of red flags there. But you need a good person who can pull focus and knows what they're doing. That's kind of important. So your director or photographer usually will be the one to pick that person. And then your second AC is like the one who does all this work. It's like horrible when you have 2 cameras and you only have 1 second AC, because they are the ones going and marking everything, like the little things that go on the bottom of your when the actors they have to walk and they have to hit a specific mark, they're the ones that mark everything. They're the ones that make sure all the batteries are charging, that they do get the cards ready for the cameras to save the data and store the data, and then load it up onto the computer, or make sure it's loaded. And then, I mean, they do a lot of work. I've seen them. They work tirelessly, and to only have 1 for 2 or 3 cameras can be really just a lot of work on this person. So anyways, that's what they do. And it's more. Obviously, I'm not in these departments, so I'm giving you a brief synopsis of what is going on a set. So then you also have your electric. These are the guys that are setting up the lights so that the film is lit properly and it looks good. The DP is the one who's going to check that, but a lot of the time now, anybody with a really nice camera or can afford a really nice camera, or their parents can, they're considered a director of photography. So I've seen some pretty amazing work done in these. When it's done correctly, it makes all the difference in the world. And some of these, so the electric, you have your gaffer who's the head of the electric. And then you have your grips, and they actually move all the stands and set up and rig. I had a director of photography tell me, who do you think is the most important person on your set? Your gaffer or your grip? And I was like, gaffer. And then he was like, no, like a really good DP has a really good grip because they can rig stuff that's just incredible. But I've seen some electricians, you do this thing, it's called day for night, where you shoot at, or I always get it wrong. I think it's day for night, but anyways, basically you're shooting in the day, but you're shooting nighttime. And the best thing that I've seen, and these guys are old time, I mean, they've been in the industry for years, and what they would do is they were shining light through the window, you know, like normal, but they actually did it in a way, there's these things called gobos. I remember this from theater. And they actually had like, they produced shadows, but they were producing like leaf shadows. So like it was shining through these leaves, and they kind of had it on the wall in this way that really made it feel like it was nighttime. It wasn't just something blaring through a window. Oh, it looks like night. But my mentor, Jim Kelly Durgan, was also a photographer as well. And he said, you know, if you want to know movie making and pictures, it's motion pictures. So filmmaking, motion pictures, so know how to take pictures. It was one of the things that he would talk about, and that's what made him really good at what he did and understanding it. And he's the one actually who also, not only did he help so many people, even producers, directors, he even trained a studio head on this, the script supervising, so that they knew what was going on set and they could, you know, advance to these high levels. Directors of photography, he's trained. I trained a sound guy, I've trained directors, I've trained a lot of people. And editors, this is great. Yeah, you learn this stuff and you really can just think with filmmaking. You understand it, you understand what's going on, you understand all the departments and stuff. But anyways, back to what I was saying. So you have all these people, and they're all under the DP and the director, and then you have the AD, the DP, and the script supervisor, you know, here, and then these are the people underneath them. Script supervisor doesn't really have anybody underneath them, but they are the key department head. And what they do, what they do is they actually, this is the way I say it, but it's so comprehensive. You didn't even used to be able to look at the script supervisor's notes, but now I guess some let you, but per the union, they don't even have to show you their notes. I mean, obviously they do to the producers, writers, and the editors. And I have a phenomenal editing teacher who, oh gosh, this guy taught. His name's Jack Tucker, but he taught, he came from the original editors. I mean, his whole story, like, he was taught by the original editors in Hollywood, and he's incredible. But, so the script supervisor actually came from the editorial department, because the assistant editors, the assistant editors would have to come on this to the set, and they'd have to write down all these notes of everything that was shot, and then at night they'd be like loading the footage and looking at it and checking it and all that stuff, and it was just too much for one person. So they invented the script supervisor, but the script supervisor, the way I explain it is the AD is like the right hand man of the director. The script supervisor is like the left hand man or woman or whatever of the director, and they basically what we do is we take the notes down so that you can find the footage, and you'd be surprised how much people lose the footage or think they shot things they didn't shoot or whatever. They keep track of the footage, but they also make sure people are doing things right. So I would say the AD is making sure people go fast and they do what they're supposed to be doing, but the script supervisor makes sure that everything kind of matches each other and from shot to shot, so it can be cut together. Also, you know, some people like to shoot things that aren't going to cut to something else, and that's a whole nother class. I'm not going to get into it, but this is basically, you know, obviously you're going to have, I mean, your wardrobe, they're not above anybody, so it might be right here actually, and then you have your makeup artist, makeup department, your art department, which is the sets and the scenery and all of that. So you have all of that, like they could be kind of technically under the DP or AD, but they're their own, they have their own key department heads and stuff, you know. And the art department is broken into like production, designer, and then something else I can't remember, but I was like, what's the difference between those two? But anyways, like I said, I loosely kind of know this stuff, but you know that these are all on your set. You have your sound person, it's going to be up here, and then you know you have a crew for that, and they've managed to make that smaller than it should be, and then somehow camera department has expanded to have like, I mean, on this one set they're like, camera department is like half the crew or more, you know. It was really kind of crazy, but and not even including the electricians and the grips. So you have all these different departments and everything that is on a set, and they're being organized and stuff. And I'll tell you, one of the things is really nice about the director of photography crew. They're usually gentlemen. I mean, there's women in it, but they're usually gentlemen in that it's, I'm going to tell you, on a crew, they used to fire the assistant director actually when we didn't get, it was called the first shot of the day. Like you have your crew comes in at like say 8 o'clock, it's called the crew call time, and then the first shot didn't get shot until 11 o'clock, and the script supervisor tracks that actually too. That's to 8, 9, 10, 11. That's 3 hours. It's too much time in between, and they would fire the assistant director. But some places they started firing the director because it really does go as fast as the director is saying. But the one thing that the assistant director, if you only have one makeup artist and you have 3 women, the women take the longest to make up, and to get them to do makeup under an hour for each woman is almost impossible. I mean, the guys they can do in like 20 minutes, and it's really, you know, whatever, but and it depends on who the guy is and how old he is and how young he wants to look and all this other stuff. So yes, they can do incredible things, but they need time to do it. And so what will happen is the camera department will act like they're setting up for all that time because they have all that time for the first shot, but in reality they're just being polite to the makeup artists. But it's slow for the AD, but it, you know, that's a whole scheduling thing and a money thing. But realistically, it costs a lot of money to have women on set unless you're getting 3 makeup artists, and then you can boom in an hour, bam. And so that's the department you should actually have more people in, because a lot of the time too, makeup is also hair. So to actually get a woman's hair done and her makeup done in under an hour, or about an hour, is a lot, and it's pretty good. And I know a lot of men don't understand that, but because it takes them 5 minutes to do everything, or you know, depending. I have a brother that takes longer than that, but anyways, it takes a little bit of time. So that can be the biggest thing to slow people down. But I know a director, because they would get fired if they didn't get a shot off within like 2 hours of filming. That's standard. Like it shouldn't take longer than 2 hours to get the first shot off. Once you get the first shot off, everything goes faster, but that's because hair and makeup's all done. Do you know what I'm saying? But and then it's just touch-ups. But they would go and shoot like some scenery or something. So you'd say first shot was actually gone. But then the producers got wind of that too, and they say, well, that doesn't really count unless it's a first shot of somebody saying dialogue or a main actor in the shot. So, you know, if you started the scene out with 2 guys, that's like a secret to scheduling. But then, bam, you're getting your first shot off within the first hour, which is pretty awesome. And then you do if you were to break up the scenes with your ladies later on and all of that. But I mean, it can be complicated. It depends on location and all of that other stuff. So now back to breaking down the script. Now that you kind of know a little bit about how the set operates and who's who and all of that, we are breaking down the script so that you can get it ready for production, whether it's a high budget production or low budget production. So back to where we were. We were like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, I don't think we had 5. 7, 8. We had 9, apple. Okay, so, and then we had 10, but it had been omitted. So you want to make a square if it's omitted. You don't want to just cross it out. And then when it's covered or it's completed, you do a circle. So that's just for your own notes so you know. And this keeps everybody on the same page. I mean, if you have this stuff, you don't always have to bug the script supervisor for it. It's so much easier. Now, the other thing is that on this same page, I usually put this at the bottom of the page. With on the same page, though, you have these things. They're called slug lines if they're the assistant director's lines, and what they usually are for the assistant director, but sometimes they're getting more hip to the whole scene. But a slug line is usually the beginning of the scene, the first words or dialogues. For a script supervisor, they're called continuity one-liners. I just call them one-liners, obviously. And for each scene, it is what is happening in the scene, and it's like a table of contents for the film. So you have scene 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you have the one line across here. And sometimes the AD will use your or the script supervisor's one-liners, and that's great. But what it basically does is what happens in that scene, then everybody understands what's that scene about. If it's just the first line of the scene, everybody's like, what scene is that? We're not all on the same page. So this really, and I actually give this to all the key department heads, and it helps them because they really go, oh, here we are. And sometimes I've shown the actors that. The directors, I mean, I've had a lot of directors love these, but it really kind of puts it in there like, okay, what scene are we on? Oh, we're on the scene where the dad dies, you know? And then you know, but let's say, the other thing is this is great for matching and for wardrobe and props and all of that other stuff, because the thing is that, from here to here, let's say he has a ring on his finger. But after the dad dies, he sells the ring for money. So he doesn't have it. And then, you know, during all these scenes. And then you have some more scenes here, and he gets the ring back. Like his girlfriend buys it for him. So, but you have to make sure, like during these scenes, he doesn't have the ring on his finger. Maybe you can kind of cut around that, hopefully, but if you make that mistake, but it's so much easier to keep track of it. You know what, another story my mentor would always tell me is a beard. So they had to tell him, there was this one scene where they had to shoot the beard. I mean, yes, you can put a beard back on and all that stuff nowadays with special effects, but really you don't want to have to do that. It's pretty expensive. So he has the beard, and they wanted to make sure that they shot everything before they shaved the beard for the rest of the film where he has no beard. So they wanted all the scenes shot that had beard in them before they did that, because they were actually on location, in a different location. They didn't have time for all that nonsense. So he made sure, you know, that everything was covered. And you do it that way too. It's like, boom, all the scenes for the beard are completely covered. Now we can shave it, and now we can move forward. This helps to organize it. Another thing is, I had an actor who was drugged in like a scene before. He was drugged and stuck in a trunk. He was a cop. And then he was waking up, actually not, it was La Migra. He was the border patrol, that's what he was. And he was drugged, and I had spoken to him and told him that, so that it, you know, hey, the night before wasn't just any night, you were drugged and stuck in a trunk, and that gave him more to work with than just like, oh, it's the same thing, play everything the same way. Or like if your dad dies, like in the scene, you know, just so you can remember, oh, that's what happened before. It's, things are different afterwards, acting wise and stuff. So it really does help the actors to kind of know, oh, what scene are we on, and that comes after this scene and that scene, and oh, this is what I'm going through emotionally, or not. I don't know. It helps some actors. Some actors maybe just don't need to know that, and they want to play it a certain way. I've been on movies where the actress just cried the whole movie, like every scene, or the actress just was angry in every scene. And it's funny because I was talking to a producer who said, oh, well, we shot this and we thought it was great acting, and then they said, well, wait a minute, the other people that were coming in to purchase the film or sell it, the distributors were like, every scene is the same scene emotionally, so for this actor. And you know, this helps to break it up a little bit for the actors, you know, to do their work and stuff. So some actors, you know, everybody works differently, and that's their deal, and I'm not trying to like say this is how you should or shouldn't do it. I just personally, for myself, it's nice to know about this and be able to do this even myself, or know that the script supervisor has those available. Not that they'll give it to you, maybe you do have to do it for yourself, but to be able to do that, and then with your work you can, you know, place where you are in the book or the scenes of the movie. So, in plays we used to have it actually posted on the wall, so you knew, oh, here we are in the script, okay, I'm coming in here, blah, blah. It's a great thing to do. But for filmmaking, you can do it that way as well. So when you have all of that, it also, that's great for hair, makeup, and wardrobe, so that they know, oh, so one of the things is, let's say you have scene 1, 2, 3, 4, no 5, but you have 6, 7, 8, 9 apple, right? And you have your one-liners. And the other thing to know is that you have days. So I'm not talking about the days of shooting, because you're day 1, day 2, and you're skipping around the film. That's what makes it so confusing. It's not like a play. You don't shoot it in order. You know, you shoot it not in order. So that's why these things are important tools when you're working on a film set, so you know what's going on. But so let's say this is day, the first scene, and then day, you would do day 1, and then it goes to night, and it's night 1, you know. And then the next day is day 2. Let's say all of this goes down to here, they don't have a night, and then you go to maybe it's a second night, so it would be night 2 already. Oh yeah, we're in night. Or maybe it's a third day, so you have day 3. It skips the night. There's no night. They have all day, and then you skip to the next day, or you wake up the next day, and it's day 3 in the script. So this is all helpful for wardrobe, depending on, are they wearing the same thing? Are they trapped in a building where they are wearing the same thing? Are they not? Are they wearing different things? This is how you keep track of it. You do not want to have them wear the same wardrobe as day 1 unless we're talking about a flashback. But even if it is a flashback for day 1, you would have day 1. Let's say 10 is a minute. Oh yeah, but we haven't minute it. But it's a flashback. 1. And depending on if it's to day 1 or is it earlier than day 1, so then it would be day 4, a new wardrobe. It definitely would be a new wardrobe if it's, earlier than day 1. So anyways, that's how you keep track of wardrobe and hair and makeup and stuff with these one-liners. And that's good for the assistant directors. Now they're the ones that do what is called a call sheet. You have your call sheet. These suckers have all the time, the time of how everything you're supposed to shoot, everything, and you're going to have a call sheet for every day. It's going to be different. So, and this may vary and change. You're not going to get those all right away. You're going to get them each day the night before usually. So let's say, actually what happens is the assistant director will break down the script into their slug lines and one-liners and scene numbers and all that stuff, which should be the same as yours and match no matter what. So you get 6, 7, 8. Their pages look different, the way they do. And then they have the writing, like how many 2 and 1/8 pages, 3 pages. Actually, I put those on there, way over there, but mine can fit on one page. It says details of like a little bit of, I think, props and stuff sometimes on these. Sometimes the script supervisors have been doing that like the assistant directors, but I do mine simple and try to keep it down to as many little pages, not as many, as small amount of pages as possible. Theirs could go for like 10 pages, where they have all this information, the complete location and all that. I don't even know if I don't put the location really on those. So, but they do. They'll put all this detail and stuff on theirs. And then what they'll do, because it is in order, no, it's in order of filming. That's what makes theirs so different too. So they're like day 1 of filming, we'll have the, all these different things. It won't be in order of the script. Mine's in order of the script as well. So anyways, so then they take like one of these blocks. So day 1 of filming, well, let's say is filming like scene 3, scene 12, and scene 6. And it doesn't have to be in order even, because it's in the order that the assistant, this is 1 of filming. And then day 2 of filming, and this is, obviously a wish list, but let's say they're going to do scene 15, 56, and 107 are all in the same location, or let's say these 2 are in the same location, and then this one's a whole different location, but they're going to do a company move because it's nearby, or it's just in the other room, or it's in the kitchen or something. Like this is in the kitchen, and these are in the bedroom. And then to do a call sheet, they'll take one of these, whatever day of filming we're on. And what they'll do, let's say they pull out one of these, and then they do what's called the call sheet. And it'll say call sheet on it on the top. and we'll say the call time, 8 o'clock. You can come early for breakfast if they have it. And those are like specific industry rules, you know, if they have breakfast or not. They can take a break, or they can, what is called grace, where you get to wait 15 minutes before you go to lunch. If you didn't have a breakfast, so you come 15 minutes early, so it would be like 7:45 breakfast. And you should be done by 8 and ready to work. But if they give you breakfast, then they can call grace. If they didn't give you breakfast, they really can't call grace. But if you're not doing a union show, I don't know that they care. But helping people out with breakfast, lunch after 6 hours, it doesn't seem right. On my sets, I try to get some wholesome, real food, not a bunch of candy, and some people actually complain about that. But then as we work faster and better, they're like, oh, like I'll do some candy, but very little. I do a lot of beef jerky, I do a lot of fruits and vegetables and dipping and like hummus and all that stuff. So I really make it healthy, but then also I read in a book somewhere that these producers checked it out when they actually gave out lunch meat and bread and peanut butter and jelly right around 12. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. He said right around 3 hours after they started, or 4 hours about, no more than 4 hours. The crew worked faster and better, and they were happier. So 6 hours to me is ridiculous. It's not enough time, and you're going to get hungry at least to me, after 3 hours. I get hungry after 2. So my last name's Mangello, means eat a lot. So anyways, so you have your call time, you have, then you're basically pulling out from the AD's the one doing this, all the stuff. So let's say you have scene 3, 6, I can't remember what I said, and 12 maybe, and we're not going to shoot it in that order. We're going to do 3, 12, and let's say 6 a different location. But it says what actors are in it. It says how many page numbers in this. Let's say this is 2 1/8 page, and this is 1/8 of a page, and this is just 1 page, right? So, but this is a company move right here. So it'll say company move. So company is a production. The whole production is its own company. Usually it's its own LLC. So it is a company move, and so it'll say that. You know, it'll say the props, it'll say the actors. So the actors are numbered based on their billing. So it'll say cast right here, you know, scene, and then pages. And again, as a script supervisor, you use your own page count to say how much you shot, but really 3 2/8 of a page is a decent amount to shoot. Obviously I've been on sets where we shoot, you know, 10 pages. I've even done 40 pages. It was like a web kind of cam series thing, which is actually really successful, but it was a lot of monologuing. There were some people that came in, but it was all one location, so it was really easy to shoot that many pages. But my mentor would always say there was like a triangle, and I think he got this from sports, but Jim would always say that you could do it fast, cheap, and quality, something like that. Anyways, you can only do, you can't have all 3 of this triangle. So it'd be fast and cheap, it wouldn't have quality. If it's quality, and you want it fast, you can't do it cheap. And if it's quality and you want it cheap, you have to do it slow. Those were his rules. Because he'd worked in film for over 50 years. He was there when the cameras were the size of, well, you can't see this whole room, but the size of this room. They were pretty big cameras, so they didn't want to move them. You know, they rehearsed that scene and all that stuff. And actually, there were times when the camera was as big as this room, and they had, because this is a whole thing about talkies, you know, like, they had silent films, you know, because the camera made all this sound, so they built this room to stop the camera from making all that sound, and then they could get sound into play into the whole movies and stuff. So He wasn't there then. He's not that old, or he wasn't that old. He did pass away. But anyways, yeah, so you have the call sheet, has all that information, and it has more information than that. I don't have one on me, but that will basically explain what you're shooting for that day and how much you're getting done. And yes, if you shoot only 3 pages a day, it will actually make the quality look better as well, you know, and you have all the right departments and stuff. And you work with them, talk to them, see what they're about. I mean, you'd be surprised on how many sets where a department, they weren't really speaking up for themselves. And then when I spoke up for them to the producers and stuff, and not in a horrible way or anything like that, but it was like, you know, the sound guy was like, oh, we just got horrible sound because we were doing a walk and talk, but you could hear all this crew. I said, listen, can we just at least, I don't know if we're going to use it, but can we at least take the actors to the side and just have them do their dialogue again? And the director was like, huh? Like what? And then the sound guy, and I talked to him first, and he was like, wow, thank you so much. Like, nobody ever really cares about my department. Or there was another time when the makeup artist, they didn't even tell her this, but they decided to add a kiss, and this lady had like all this red lipsticks because it was a 1950s thing, and every time in between they had to wipe it off. And because the directors and stuff were not men, they didn't wear lipstick. Were men, they didn't wear lipstick. They didn't know that the lipstick, they had to wipe it off, and it took a lot, and reapply a lot of the makeup, and it took time in between, and they were just like, hurry up, hurry up. I'm like, no, she has to look like she hadn't kissed him before. And this was the first time they were kissing, and we didn't know about this, so we didn't plan for it. And they're like, oh. And you know, you say it in a way that is so that they get it, and it's not, you're not cutting people down, but you're helping them, you know, like, hey, let me take you aside, this is what's going on. And they're like, oh. And then the makeup artist is like, thank you, like nobody's ever, you know, done that. I'm glad to have you on set and stuff like that, because the whole idea, and when you know certain things and you know how everything works, you can pay attention to these other little things that are very important to making the movie look good and sound good. So, yeah, that's it for today.